The story kicks off with 22-year-old Hajime Owagmi, restless and drenched in sweat, lying on his bed, his mind swirling with anxiety. Tomorrow is his first day at a new job. What troubles him even more is the company's decision to send him from Tokyo to work in Fukuoka. He lies there, tense and annoyed, staring at the ceiling, knowing there is no one around to help or support him. Exhausted from his own overthinking, he lets out a deep breath. Finally, he puts on his tracksuit and decides to go for a walk in the middle of the night, hoping for a bit of fresh air. Under the dark sky and bright full moon, he sits on the outside stairs, exhaling softly, a small smile forming as he finally enjoys the calm of his late-night walk. He wanders through the quiet, unfamiliar city, the dim lights gently easing his nerves. In a narrow back alley, he looks up at the sky, mesmerized by the view, and quickly takes a picture. He smiles as he admires the interesting shot, appreciating it like a true industrial fan. Completely unaware, a strangely overfamiliar giant woman looks at the picture on his phone, smiles, and silently agrees with him. Startled by the sudden voice, he spins around. The woman standing so close to him, wearing a gentle smile, frightens him enough to make him yelp. In his panic, his phone slips from his hand and lands near her feet. Shaken and confused, he awkwardly asks for her introduction. The overly friendly woman, holding a beer can, cheerfully introduces herself as Usagi Takatsuki, 28 years old. She proudly calls herself the neighborhood's friendly drunk who just happened to pass by, then asks for his name. Still trembling, Hajime introduces himself in return. Studying his face, she curiously asks if he is even old enough to drink, since he looks so young. He calmly assures her that he is almost 23 years old. Curious, he asks why she is wandering around this place at midnight. She shares her story, having been dumped by a man, which left her frustrated. To calm herself, she decided to get some fresh air and ended up walking here. Blushing slightly and sipping her drink, she smiles, feeling much more relaxed now. Listening to her, he feels sympathy, yet also admires her choice to find peace in a walk. He explains how he, too, chose to take a walk to relax. The quiet streetlights never make him feel alone, but strangely soothing. His calm fades, however, when she pulls him close. They exchange shy, blushed smiles, both realizing they share the same love for these midnight walks. She misinterprets the situation, assuming Hajime has no plans. Without waiting for his response, she bows slightly, her blush deepening, asks if he would keep her company to help distract her from her stress. Flustered and red-faced, Hajime misreads her intention and shouts for her to explain properly, but she gently takes his hands and pulls him under the full moonlight. Soon, they arrive at the karaoke, where she bursts into an energetic song while he nervously claps along. When she finishes, she sets the mic down, visibly annoyed by the strange vibe. He had suggested the song, unaware it was an older version. Apologizing, he claims he didn't know it was different. Realizing the misunderstanding, she frowns, recognizing it as a simple generation gap, which he gloomily agrees with. Sensing his disappointment, she excitedly urges him to sing, grabbing the alcohol jar herself. Noticing his hesitant, puzzled look, she leans in and asks what's wrong. Hajime stares at the tablet, unsure which song to choose, while his heart races at the thought of being alone in a private room with a woman, his face burning crimson. Undeterred, she comes close, shouting encouragement and urging him to sing with everything he's got. As he nervously begins, panic floods him when he realizes the song includes spoken words and rapid rap sections. His stilted singing clearly frustrates her, and she teasingly insists he perform with more feeling, since she can't understand a word. Her audacious teasing leaves him flustered, almost in tears, caught in a surreal, dreamlike moment where embarrassment and excitement twist together, flipping his emotions completely. When she rests her hand on his shoulder and asks if he's afraid of performing, he gloomily admits that he mostly avoids singing solo at karaoke. Squeezing his shoulder gently, she smiles with flushed cheeks and encourages him to sing without overthinking. He remains annoyed, knowing she's just teasing him, but before he can respond, a staff member rushes over, apologizing for being late and placing several large drinks on their table. Seeing his confused expression, she laughs and happily offers him a drink, even ordering one for him. Then, pulling him closer again, she grabs the mic and bursts into an energetic song. After pouring out all her frustration through her singing, she finally feels calm and thanks him for spending time with her. Hajime, cheeks burning, smiles shyly, feeling happy that he could enjoy the moment with her too. She presses the rabbit strike button for her cigarette and asks his permission with a playful smile before paying the bill. Once they reach the designated smoking room, they sit together quietly. Noticing him using a vape, she looks surprised and asks if he's smoking too. Intrigued by the new trend, she leans closer as she lights her cigarette with her lighter and curiously asks why he decided to take a late-night walk. He explains that he was anxious about tomorrow's orientation and needed some fresh air to clear his mind. Hearing this, she taps her cigarette ash into the bin, then gently asks what's troubling him most. Hajime gloomily admits it's being posted in a completely unfamiliar city, which makes him feel uneasy. While now she's getting his point, with a winking eye, she asks jokingly if he is feeling comfortable talking to her. While vaping, he nods. Then, she, smoking a cigarette calmly and with a mature tone, advises him not to overthink and suggests not try to appeal to all the colleagues at the job, as it's not school, and suggests that just properly doing his job would be enough, relaxing at the end of the day. Hearing her makes him shocked as he smokes out the vape, curiously confirming whether only he follows this to be adult, while she boosts him further, advising him not to push himself too hard to suddenly act like an adult just because he is starting the job. Then he even humbly shares her contact info with him, and winking her eye with a blushed smile, offering him to call her anytime when he feels alone or worried about the situation. Then, patting his back so forcefully, he, with a bright smile, advises him to do well tomorrow. Then she walks toward the counter, showing happiness on this good night, asking him to go ahead as she would pay for him, while he, so happy, smiling, leaves the place. Standing outside, he looks at the full moon with a cute smile, placing his hand on his heart, feeling much more relaxed for tomorrow thanks to Takatsuki-san. Suddenly, she comes out of the karaoke, much excited, apologizing for keeping him waiting, but then she vomits. Instantly, she corrects the bag to catch it, and he, worried, dashes to her side. While he sympathetically looks at her, she, badly vomiting, almost bows down on the road, feeling ashamed for over-drinking after such a long time. Though he pats her back, trying to calm her, she remains with teary eyes and a sweaty face, ashamed for acting so immature after giving him mentor-like advice earlier. Even as he tries to stop her, she continues, drying her face and clenching her fists, scolding herself for forcing herself to act mature in front of everyone. Though she succeeded in impressing others at the start, in the end, it always turns out badly. She cries deeply, even making noise, and water running from her mouth shares how she decided it's better to be alone. But even that doesn't seem to work for her. As her name means rabbit, like the creature, she feels she would die if left alone. But then she realizes she shouldn't disturb him, a junior, with her complexes, and she teases herself with a small smile, blaming herself for being so attached to the boy. Helplessly, she smiles at her own troubled life. Seeing her laugh so loudly, he feels sympathy for her. Then, crying and laughing at the same time, she vomits again into the bag. He anxiously pats her back, thinking of her as a mature mentor, yet realizing she is also struggling through a hard life. Now sitting gloomily, she feels confused about her strange life. He, too, sits in gloom, unsure how to comfort her, especially since he has just met her. He senses that trying to get involved too much could cause him more trouble, yet he also remembers how kind she has been, offering him her shoulder in case of any difficulty. While seeing her crying face, he first clenches his heart and excitedly offers for her to hang out with him from now on, but seeing her shocked expression makes him nervous, and he immediately tries to clarify that he also feels alone in this new city, so only if she's okay. Still receiving no response from her makes him even more anxious, and he feels awkward, his face burning as he stands frozen. Then he is shocked when she suddenly runs toward him and lifts him into the air with her surprisingly strong arms. Her flushed cheeks and bright smile reassure him as she waves him in the air, radiating pure happiness and energy. Setting him back on the ground, she holds his hand and asks him to hang out every day, which makes him feel scared. Without waiting for his answer, she energetically wishes him good night, hoping to see him tomorrow, and walks away. He stands alone, confused, wondering if he just took a bold step. The next day, he wakes up anxiously to find over 30 messages from Takatsuki, all asking about his plans for the day, where he wants to meet at the station, and motivating him for his job. After a while, all the trainees, including Hajime, gather as the head woman gracefully enters the office. She wishes everyone good morning and introduces herself formally as Takatsuki, in charge of their training, advising everyone to work honestly from now on. When Hajime recognizes her and she glances at him, both shout in disbelief, pointing at each other, which confuses the other employees. Hajime is utterly shocked to realize that Takatsuki is his boss. As it's his first day on the job, Hajime feels utterly shocked to see Takatsuki as his boss. When she seriously asks why he's acting absent-minded, he immediately apologizes. Realizing her professional demeanor, he decides to focus and work more seriously. As he works, Takatsuki observes him carefully, appreciating his dedication and motivating him to complete the remaining tasks with the same effort. At that exact moment, Sato, another worker, passes by and she immediately greets him politely. Later, standing professionally, she suggests that he take a look at the meeting materials she organized for today. Hajime is shocked and confused. He wonders when she even prepared this. Just then, her phone rings, and she steps away to answer, introducing herself politely and smiling while confirming the same project schedule for next month. Hajime continues observing her closely. When the trainer calls her for assistance, she politely hangs up, smiles, and immediately goes to help. While looking at her, Hajime becomes deeply impressed by her professional behavior. She trains the newcomers perfectly and seems like the backbone of the office. At that exact moment, his phone rings, and he receives a message from Takatsuki suggesting they meet at the 15th floor outdoor stairs smoking area during lunch break. During lunch, as he arrives there confusedly, he is shocked to see Takatsuki with her dominant look, but she loudly welcomes him to the company, asking if he told anyone about yesterday's event. Hajime, feeling nervous, firmly denies it. Hearing this, she exhales gloomily in relief, dragging her cigarette, clearly worried about the company's strict rules and potential repercussions for even minor mistakes. Hajime silently agrees with her, understanding her concern. While sitting with her cigarette, sharing stories about everyone's curious and sensitive behavior nowadays, he vapes and carefully suggests her to be cautious about meeting like this, warning that someone might misunderstand if they saw them. Hearing this, she becomes deeply emotional, bursting into loud tears. She stares at him, strikingly emotional, and asks whether his promise to hang out with her would be a lie, and whether, like others, he might hate her too. He quickly shields himself and clarifies that he only meant avoiding interactions at the office and that meeting outside is fine. Realizing his true intention, she stops crying, her cheeks flushed, and holding his hands, asks him to hang out with her today. Hajime, also blushing, immediately agrees. Hearing this, she becomes ecstatic, smiling brightly as she sits down, then shouts loudly with excitement. She almost rushes toward him to hug him, but seeing her so bold, she quickly composes herself and decides not to cross any boundaries. As lunch ends, she, embarrassed at having lost her composure earlier, quickly regains her poise and gently encourages him to return to work with focus and professionalism. After the day finishes, he walks out exhausted. She happily pats his back, acknowledging his hard work, and as a reward, invites him to enjoy a meal at the top-tier Hataka soul food restaurant. Sitting together at the restaurant, the waitress serves them bowls of firm, steaming noodles. She tidies her hair, beaming at the sight of the delicious food. Taking his first bite, Hajime is immediately impressed. She follows, tasting her noodles with flushed cheeks, clearly savoring the moment. After such a hectic day, she truly needs this. While eating, she casually asks about his hobbies during his spare time. Removing his coat, he shares his diverse hobbies, including delicate sewing work, which genuinely impresses her. Then, when he asks about her hobbies, she first looks gloomy, removing her coat and slowly untying her tie. Sadly, she shares that she mostly just goes to the gym or the grocery store, having no friends to hang out with. Noticing her somber mood, he gently encouraged her not to stay sad. With growing enthusiasm, he suggested they go explore more fun activities together. Her face lit up instantly. The idea excites her so much that she stretches both hands out in delight, but she moves too quickly. A button on her shirt suddenly pops loose and hits Hajime square on the head. Mortified, she immediately grabs the torn shirt, her face flushed with embarrassment and regret for overeating. He tries to calm her, saying it's not her fault at all, the thread was just weak. While holding her shirt closed awkwardly, she reminds him that he's skilled at sewing and asks him to fix her button right away. Hajime trembles at the request, cheeks reddening, and nervously looks away, but she insists. With no other option, he buys a needle and thread from a dollar store and awkwardly approaches her to help. Embarrassed, she shouts at him not to stare as he gets close, her face burning even more. While he trembles nervously, his mind races, overwhelmed by how close they were standing and the awkwardness of the situation. She, equally embarrassed by the strange, awkward situation, panics and tells him to stay focused and not overthink the situation. His face burning, he quietly urges her to stay still so he can concentrate fully. As he carefully fixes the button, she gradually relaxes and with a polite smile admires his work like it's a life-saving act. He, in turn, feels a warm happiness at being able to help her. When she happily offers to give him something as a reward, he immediately declines, shaking his head with a shy smile. Then she eagerly invites him to her house, but he immediately misunderstands, nervously asking what they would even do there. When she mentions playing cards and a few other things, he shyly admits that two people usually don't have much fun with cards. Winking playfully, she suggests they just relax at her place and talk about their crushes. With flushed cheeks and a mischievous smile, she hints that she has a small surprise planned for him at home, leaving him completely flustered. Placing a finger gently over her lips, she whispers that it's a secret and jokes that he will be treated like a VIP. Hajime can only stare at her, his face full of curiosity and nervous anticipation. The next day, after work, he feels extremely nervous about being at Takatsuki's home for the first time, at any woman's place. He imagines a cute, tidy room, but when she opens the door and excitedly invites him in, he is immediately shocked to see a messy home with scattered items everywhere. She apologizes for the mess and tells him to make himself comfortable and relax. He is even more stunned when carelessly changing clothes without realizing he is still watching, comfortably explaining that she tried to clean yesterday but didn't finish. He shouts at her carelessness, panicking and overthinking, imagining that she might have some secret plan for him. Realizing her mistake, she hurriedly tries to adjust herself, cheeks flushed with embarrassment. As she rushes toward the room, she trips over her clothes and falls awkwardly. Alarmed, he quickly moves to her side, but she's sprawled badly and immobile, so she timidly asks for his help. After changing into comfortable sports shorts, she apologizes for the embarrassing moment while he stands, brushing it off, trying to calm himself. Then, winking at him, she shakes off her guilt and decides to make homemade food for him. As she enters the kitchen, she's immediately annoyed to see the sink overflowing with cigarette butts and empty alcohol cans. Determined, she grabs a sponge and starts cleaning. Drinking alcohol, smoking, and even sipping an energy drink as she works, which only frustrates him further. He shouts at her for this chaotic cleaning, but she calmly retorts that she needs energy for the task. Tossing the cigarette aside, she ends up making an even bigger mess. Seeing all this, he grows frustrated and exhausted, and finally decides to clean the house himself. He puts on gloves and, with machine-like speed, tackles the sink first, then wraps up the garbage. After a while, seeing the house sparkling clean and the sink perfectly tidy, she is deeply impressed by him. Determined, she grabs a pan and sets about making homemade food for him, despite the heat of the kitchen. While sitting outside, he keeps overthinking, still recalling the earlier moment. His thoughts are interrupted when she serves him the bunny special Chinese combo. As he simply admires the food, she looks slightly disappointed that he isn't noticing the fancy presentation, but he happily assures her that it's delicious. When he takes the first bite, he is genuinely impressed by the amazing flavor and smiles, clearly amazed by her cooking. While eating, she offers him a premium Wolf's beverage to go with the meal. Both of them happily enjoy the food. Then, with a playful smile, she informs him that it's time for the special treat. While he is still confused about the special treat after the meal and drinks, she blushes and goes to change her outfit. When she returns carrying an alcohol bottle and a hookah, she excitedly explains that, seeing him vape earlier, she imagined he might be interested in trying the hookah. But seeing his completely bewildered expression, she grows a little gloomy, realizing he might not be interested after all. But he excitedly shares that he's always wanted to try this, though he felt it was difficult to get into. While wiping a few tears, she exhales, saying that now, having ordered it, even while drunk, it's finally paid off. Finally, they begin to enjoy it together. She takes the first sip and then passes it to him, showing him how to use it. Although he's nervous at first, they both gradually relax, enjoying the hookah. He admires her and thanks Takatsuki-senpai for the experience. Playfully, she tells her not to be so formal and starts calling her by her first name, but he hesitates, still nervous. She scolds him, insisting he must call her by her first name or she won't let him leave. Overthinking, he panics, imagining spending the night with her if he doesn't comply. Finally, gathering his courage, he calls her by her first name. Seeing her annoyed expression, he hesitates again, but with a determined, slightly flushed face, he calls her politely once more. This time, her eyes sparkle with delight, and she smiles. Excitedly, she cups his face, insisting he look into her eyes and call her again, and again, enjoying it thoroughly, urging him to keep saying it. After a while, she smiles, satisfied, and allows him to go home. Hajime, feeling a little sad, gathers his bag and coat. Deep down, he wishes she would call him by his first name as well, but he shakes his head to stop overthinking. Then it hits him. He's developed a crush on her. Composing himself, he greets her politely, smiling, and wishes to meet again tomorrow. He is startled when she, in turn, greets him politely, yet affectionately, even using his first name. Stepping outside her home, he is overwhelmed by the sudden surge of emotions. His heart racing uncontrollably, he drops to his knees in the hallway, cheeks flushed red. The next day, during lunch break, both of them stand again at the private smoking spot. Seeing her eating something unhealthy, he grows concerned and asks about it. She excitedly explains that she mainly drinks protein shakes and vitamin drinks to maintain a balanced diet. He still worries, especially when she playfully teases him about his healthy homemade lunch. Eating his meal made from yesterday's leftovers, he happily shares how much he enjoys his carefully prepared, healthy food. While she is very annoyed, she shares that after turning 30, no one should talk about health. Seeing her, he feels confused, wondering whether she will pass the next physical. When she deliberately shows him her biceps, they seem perfectly healthy. But when he asks her if all her organs are functioning properly, she suddenly becomes gloomy and then angrily shouts at him to also make a homemade lunch for her if he is so worried about her health. He hesitates but agrees, which makes her extremely happy and excited. She cheekily steals a bite from his lunch while he scolds her not to do that, saying he will charge her for the ingredients. Both become shocked when the door opens and the boss enters, showing her confusion about both of them hanging out here. While smoking a cigarette, she seriously asks whether they are doing anything suspicious, while Takatsuki, much more nervous, tries to explain that she is just giving him the office tour. While both are embarrassed, Nagare smiles, showing she was just joking and expressing her happiness at seeing them together. Then, winking an eye, she introduces herself to Hajime, who nervously greets her back. But when he sees a strange beetle on her ear, he almost shouts in shock. She calmly laughs about their earrings and asks whether they are cute. Meanwhile, Takatsuki, almost scared, hides behind Hajime, as she is very afraid of bugs. While the boss turns away with an attitude, sharing that working in fashion for decades has made her bored with everything. She tries this, then happily shows her joy at him noticing her earrings. Meanwhile, he, still confused and without clarifying to her, asks Takatsuki whether it is legal to sue over that accessory, while she analogously shouts at him to stop. Then the boss turns back, glances at them, and gives a thumbs up, saying that boys who notice small things are favorites with girls. While clapping because it's Friday, she invites them to go out for drinks. Takatsuki, much worried, tries to refuse, but the boss insists, assuring him that she will not twist his arm or anything. Before the entire conversation is complete, Hajime, knowing nothing, becomes very excited and agrees to go out with them. Seeing her concerned reaction, he quickly adds that it would increase the team bonding. Then, looking down humbly and holding her shirt, he adds that he will only go if Takatsuki comes with him. This makes her emotional, and she, with a blushed face, timidly agrees. After settling everything, they move toward the lift while discussing where to go. Takatsuki suggests going to food stalls, and the boss agrees since she also wants to go there. Finally, they decide to go to Nakasu for food. But the lift arrives at the 7th floor, and seeing a crowd of people entering makes them annoyed, as it's the end of the lunch rush. They rush in, and both ladies almost push against the lift wall, while Hajime is almost squeezed between their bodies. He is so tightly pressed that he can hardly breathe, and as more people enter, he is nearly crushed between them in the crowded elevator. Takatsuki gloomily motivates him to just wait a little longer. On the next floor, as the crowd leaves and the lift empties a bit, he exhales, finally finding some fresh air. Then the boss leaves, waving at them with the hope of meeting them again. As night falls, the trio sits in the cafeteria, both girls holding beer mugs, while he finds himself squeezed between them at the small table, feeling very annoyed. The boss apologizes for the cramped space, while Takatsuki smiles excitedly, enjoying the food stalls. While he also excitedly admires the food stalls with bright eyes, he is captivated by the local history and culture, which seems amazing. He is also impressed by the variety of foods. Seeing Takatsuki easily finishing almost 2 bowls of yaki ramen, he gives her some vegetables to eat, but she, clearly annoyed, refuses. When he angrily shouts at her, saying it's the rabbit meaning of her name, she still refuses to eat the vegetables. She, also angry in response, shouts back that eating has nothing to do with her name, but he still holds the piece of vegetable, insisting that she eat it, while she continues to refuse. Seeing them argue over food, the boss laughs loudly, as both of them seem so close to each other. Takatsuki, much embarrassed, excuses himself, saying he is her junior, but she pulls him closer to her side. The boss, smiling, asks whether this is her technique to deal with juniors. She, with a snake-like smile, pulls him closer with excitement, aiming to build a good relationship with him. Seeing Takatsuki's shocked expression, the boss, much confused, states that it's a good way to bond with juniors. Takatsuki, very annoyed, pulls him back. Again, the boss jokingly gestures for him to stand on her side instead, and suggests that Takatsuki give her junior back to her. Now the environment becomes so tense that both ladies almost come to blows, coming very close to each other while he is caught awkwardly between them in the tense standoff. After eating, the boss happily waves at them, saying she has to visit more bars. He becomes confused when Takatsuki, angrily holding her coat, gives a weird response to his question about the lively nature of the boss. Then, turning to him, much scared, she asks whether he is angry with her. He is confused by her sudden sad attitude. Sitting down gloomily and folding her hands around her legs, she shares that seeing him so close to anyone else automatically makes her think he would leave her alone. Realizing her inferiority complex, he pats her shoulder, assuring her not to worry. Then, with a polite smile, he assures her that she is special to him, as they spend all their time together. She looks at him in shock, then, with a blushed face, hugs him. Ignoring his shocked expression, she holds him by the shoulders and shares that if he ever lies to her, she won't forgive him easily. Then, without waiting for his response, she waves him goodnight. He is still trembling and confused, wondering whether she really hugged him. With a blushed, hot, and sweaty face, he remains puzzled about the purpose of the hug. After leaving him, she still feels thrilled and overwhelmed, becoming so excited.